What's up, guys? My name is Jordan Mattingly, and I am sponsored by Team Lone Star Disc. I've been on the team for 2 years now, and I've been playing disc golf off and on since about 2010-ish. I didn't start really getting back into the game until early 2023. And at that time, it was something that I actually wanted to take serious with and really progress. So joining a Lone Star was a good opportunity for me, and I have built out a bag that I think suits a right-hand backhand player that throws about 400 feet pretty dang well, almost down to a science. Now, I want to show you guys what that looks like. I didn't join the PDGA. Until late 2023, so I do have a relatively high number. And I plan on playing MA3, a little bit of MA2 this year. So we will see how that goes. Anyways, I want to show you guys what my bag looks like and how I've built it out. Now, start with, I am using a Squatch Lure 2.0. This thing is the best bang for the buck in my opinion. I can fit every disc I need in this thing without making it overbearingly heavy. And also I can bring everything that I need to bring to the disc golf course with me in this bag. I was using the Legend 3.0, but I felt like having that much space, I used every bit of it. I didn't necessarily need to, and it got really heavy, especially in 100-degree middle of July weather. You've got to play 2 rounds, sometimes 3 rounds of tournament play back to back. It gets pretty tiring. This thing is my best option without moving to a cart. I don't really want to use a cart. I don't think I'd like it as much as everybody says I would, and I like sticking to the traditional backpack. So I guess we'll get into putters right away. I am putting with V2 Jackrabbits. Now these are a nice, grippy, firm, overstable putter. I used to putt with Lunas, and the Luna for me wasn't as stable as they advertised. At first, I didn't know how I was going to feel about the bead, but now that I have putted with a beaded putter for the last 2 years, I don't think I can switch back. This is like my money maker right here. I mean, I'm not getting paid yet. I'm still an amateur, but this is like my bread and butter. I think even if something happened that I didn't putt or didn't continue with Team Lone Star, I would still putt with Lone Star Jackrabbits, and that is a fact. Now, throwing putters, I also throw a Jackrabbit. This is more or less, I like to throw big turnovers through the woods and kind of fight back to flat, or if I need to spike hyzer a putter for whatever reason, or kind of loft it up high on hyzer and get it to like fight around a tree, this is my guy right here. I like keeping the hand feel of V2 Jackrabbit the same as like my putting putter, just because, I guess mental factor, hand to brain feel. I grab this thing, I know I'm pretty close to the basket and it wants to find chains, so I keep this one for kind of sake of hand feel and mental game. A new one I have added to the bag is a D1 Benny. Now, the Benny isn't nearly as stable as my Jackrabbit, but I needed something that I could hyzer flip straight, or maybe throw it flat and give it a little bit of turn, and this guy so far has done exactly that for me, and I hope it doesn't season in too much to where I lose that flight, maybe get actually a little more flippy. But I don't want it to start turning over on me, and I want to be able to put the power down behind it and trust that it's going to do what I expect it to do. Another new one is the Aroma Blend Gnome. Now I know that Lone Star has some behind the scenes stuff going on with Sacred, but with this being an original gnome, I have several of these because I've grown to really like it. Now it says it's a 2-speed putter, but to me it feels a lot like an approach disc. And I needed an approach disc that I could throw forehand and it goes straight. Um, I do bag other approach discs, but this is like the almost understable slot, but more dead straight. You know, I can throw this backhand, hyzer flip it, and do the same thing I can with the Benny. But this one gives me the hand feel to have the confidence to throw it forehand. So these will probably stick around for a while also. Now for other approach shots, I have 2 horny toads. Now the D1, this is a D1. I had a D2 in, and I'm rotating it out because these things beat in quick, and I don't mind them beating in quick. But you know, they beat into a point where they're not really the same predictable flight that you know. So I try to rotate them out. This one also absorbs tree kicks a little bit better because this is a D1 and the other one's D2, so it's a little bit more firm. You know, this one will take the impact a little bit hard, or a little bit better, and not fly, you know, 100 feet off into the woods that you weren't expecting, and now you've got to scramble. Now I have this Alpha Glow, which is it's pretty stiff, but it's not like ungodly stiff. But this is my most overstable horny toad that I like to throw. It hasn't changed on me a bit. I've been throwing it for about a year now, and it hasn't given me any real issues. I can grab this out of my bag, have the shot in mind, execute it, and it's going to do that every time without a doubt. So it's not going anywhere either. In my opinion, this is a better zone for all those Discraft people out there. Moving into the mid-ranges, we have 5 of them here. This is my Founders Texas Ranger. This guy is also another flat to slightly understable mid-range. I don't really like to get anything super flippy, but if I can kind of beat it in to be a little flippy, that's ideal for me. And this guy is the one that I've done it with. I've been throwing this one since January, hence the 2024 subscription box stamp. I wish I could get my hands on more of these, actually. I'd like a blue one, maybe a clear one. I really like the blue and clear plastic that Lone Star makes. But this guy I have beat in to be a hyzer flip dead straight with no finish. And I've also beat it in to where I can throw it flat really hard, and it's going to give me a little bit of late turn at the end. And I mean, I throw this thing in the woods. I play a wooded round. I'm probably going to throw this thing about 5 times. So it really gets its use and its money's worth. Now for stable mid-ranges, I like the Houston. Now I have 2 Houstons here. One of them I really like, and one of them I only pull out if I kind of got a feeling I'm going to kick on a tree, and that's this guy. This is a Bravo Houston, so it's kind of bendy, kind of malleable. Now mid-ranges, for some reason I grip them really hard, so a softer mid-range that I'm kind of manipulating in my hand, I don't like it too much. But if I know that this could save me scramble strokes, if I hit a tree it's not going to kick insanely far, this guy's coming out. But if I have the option to throw the one I want, I'm throwing this Charlie Houston. This thing feels phenomenal. I like to throw this thing hard and flat and let it finish left, or if I throw it down like a tunnel turnover shot, I throw it really low on the right angle, and it's going to carry that distance and glide the whole time, and the whole time it's going to be fighting back to flat. And it's really been a staple in my bag. This is probably my favorite disc that I've found Lone Star produce. Yeah, I don't think there's anything out there that can replace this disc for me right now. Now, into my super beefcake overstable slot for mid-ranges, I bagged 2 walkers. Now this guy, this is the one I'm grabbing for most of the time. This is my Glidey boy. This is the one that I've found that I can actually throw and it actually fly. So this one is kind of like a brick, and I've tried other walkers. This one's more like a utility disc. This is the one that I'm going to put it on an angle. It's going to come out, maneuver whatever tree that I need it to, and it's coming over and it's dumping and it's falling out of the sky. I don't know why this one does that in D1 plastic, because like my D1 horny toads, they fly just fine. But this thing wants to get out of the sky as fast as it possibly can. As to where this one, I can actually throw like big hyzer shots with it. I can throw really long sweeping flex shots through the woods with it. If I need to get around an obstacle and come back to the same side that I'm trying to get around on, this is the guy I'm throwing. Now moving on to mid-ranges or fairway drivers. So I had this gap between mid-ranges and 9-speed fairway drivers that I hadn't filled yet. And I didn't really see a sense in it until here recently, because I need to find a slot that I don't necessarily have to mash down on a mid-range as hard as I possibly can, causing me to pull off my line that I'm trying to hit. But I also don't want to underpower and early release a 9-speed fairway driver. So I have filled that spot with 7-speed fairway drivers, which consist of the Frio and the Brazos. And now the Frios is my hyzer flip straight, kind of get me a little turning finish fairway. So I've got 3 of them. One of them is in Lima plastic. You know, this one's kind of like a Bravo Lima. It's really malleable, but it's the flippiest one I have. This thing will hyzer flip and turn just a little bit. This Alpha one I have will hyzer flip and carry straight. And then this Founders Emerson Keith one that I have will kind of flip up, carry straight, won't really turn, and then it'll kind of give me like a little baby finish. And I think that all 3 of these together make the perfect pair. I really like having all 3 options, just because of the shot shape that I might find myself getting into. Unlike these two kind of serve the same purpose. Just this one's gonna give me more glide. This one's not. These are 2 Brazos. This is an Alpha Brazos. This one is a little flatter. It doesn't really have as much glide as this AJ Carey Founders Brazos. This one I can throw just a little bit farther, you know, get into some windy situations. I'm probably going to grab for the Alpha one just to kind of fight the wind a little bit better. But if I'm just throwing an overstable disc to throw an overstable disc, because that's the, you know, the security of, you know, this is what feels good in the situation, this is the one that I'm going to grab for. Now moving on to those 9 speeds that I needed to fill the void with. I bag the Lariat for the same shot that I would the Frio, just a little bit farther, a touch farther. So I can kind of keep the arm speed, you know, the same really with whatever I'm throwing, just in different speeds to kind of do distance control. Now I'm throwing these Lariats probably 350 feet max, between that like 330 and 350, maybe 360 range. I'll throw these guys, especially if like I've got OB on both sides or one side versus the other, or maybe a Mando I need to hit further on down the fairway. These are the guys that I throw. Now my most stable one is this 2023 Founders Run Lariat. This guy is pretty stiff, pretty flat. I'm not really hyzer flipping this one yet. It still needs to be beat in a little bit more. But this one I can throw flat, and it might give me a little baby finish, but it's not going to turn. It's not going to try and hyzer dump out on me. I know what this thing's going to do, and this is kind of one of those discs that I grab for in certain situations because I trust it, and disc golf's half of a mental game, you know. My Alpha Lariat that I have had for a little over a year now, this guy is kind of like that in between. This one's a hyzer flip with little to no finish, and it's not really ever going to turn on me. I can throw this on anhyzer line, and it's not going to dump into a roller, but it's not going to really try and fight out of it. I can throw it on like a sweeping turnover on one angle. I can throw sky anhyzers over the top of trees with it. This guy really is a workhorse in my bag. As to where this one is kind of like one purpose. This is my flippy guy. This one is a Bravo Glow Lariat from the Halloween stamped run. This one I can throw on hyzer flip, and it's probably going to give me a little bit of turn. Not like an ungodly amount of turn, like where are you going, please come back. But like if I need it to kind of flip up through a gap and then kind of get off to the right a little bit, this is the guy I'm going for. Or if I need to throw like kind of like a baby growler shot where I would put something out way off to the left, high enough to give it the chance to get flight, and then it's going to turn back on its own. That's this guy. Now, moving into my stable fairways, I love the Mad Cat. The Mad Cat's my favorite. The hand feel of it, the flight, everything is awesome about it. Now, my most overstable Mad Cat is going to be this Freddie Mesa Mad Cat. But he doesn't come out very often because I've already had about 4 or 5 of these, and I keep losing them to water carries. And I don't want to lose any more of these because I don't think that they're making these with this stamp anymore. So I do everything I can to make sure this thing is secure, and I don't have a chance of losing it if I'm going to throw it. But it does come out in like really windy situations, windy days. I need something that's going to fight and do what it's supposed to do no matter the conditions. Speaking of which, losing this one, I keep an abundance of alpha Mad Cats now, to where if I lose one, they're expendable, and I just grab another one off my shelf. So this is what this guy is for. He is an expendable. He is the test dummy. Sorry to tell you that, dude, but if I gotta throw a water carry and I might not make it across, but I, gotta try, this is my guy. This is my Bravo Mad Cat, dyed by Sam Copley from Sick Custom Dies. This is the disc that I hit my first ever ace with, and this disc has made me money. This thing is like perfect. So I'm not a predominant forehand player, but I do pull it out every now and then. If I need to pull a big forehand out of my rear end somehow, this guy's coming out, and this guy's getting thrown hard. I don't put him in very risky situations, as you can tell, because he's too pretty to lose, man. But if I'm in the woods and I've got to throw any of the 3, I'm choosing him because with the Bravo plastic, if it hits a tree, I do not want to go several hundred feet off the fairway. I can't stress that enough. Get you some flex plastic so if you hit trees, you don't have to pay the price as bad, okay? Now, with that being said, my little rant out of the way, we're moving into distance drivers. Now, these are my big boys that I don't really pull out very often. I try to keep it in this side of the category the best I can. But if I need to throw a bomb 400 plus feet, and I have pushed it with these things, my personal best is 435 feet. With this guy right here, these are my Founders Curls. I keep these in the bag no matter what. I don't think there's a better distance driver out there for me and my power that I'll ever find. This one is the go-to. This one's the seasoned beat-in one. This one's kind of like a freshie that I haven't gotten a chance to really throw or play with too much, but I suspect it'll be a good one. I hyzer flip this thing. I throw it hard. I throw it as hard as I can on just a little bit of angle, about that much angle. It'll flip up, give me a little bit of turn, and as it's turning, it's fighting out of that turn. It's trying to fade. So I don't think I could go without this guy. This guy has been that's big meech, if you will. I throw this guy hard and I throw him far. This one I haven't beat in yet. It's brand new. I'm kind of waiting for the weather to warm up because I want to see what it's going to do. I suspect this one's going to be a little bit more glidey. It's a little bit domier than this guy right here, so I think he'll be a touch more stable also, but we will see. Next up in stability, I have my Nimitz. So my Nimitz is kind of like my curls without the hyzer flip. I throw this thing flat. It might turn just a little bit, but then it's going to come back and fade every time. This was one of the first drivers that I actually learned to like in the Lone Star lineup. This is an alpha plastic. This is the same one I've had since I joined the team late 2023. And this guy right here, this is trusty. I mean, he's stable, but he's not super overstable to where I can't throw him far. I throw this guy on average about 390 feet every time. I kind of dial it back a little bit and get a little bit more of a stable flight out of it with a little bit less distance, or I can try and throw him just a little bit, maybe baby hyzer flipping, but he's never gonna flip up and give me turn. He just might give me flip up and give me a little bit more straight flight before he's trying to get out of it. So he stays around, he doesn't go anywhere. Next up is the Alpha Growler. Now this one is one that kind of comes in and out of the bag. When I first joined the team, this was going to be my hyzer flip disc that the curl is, but it kept getting, as I was progressing in learning these discs, I started to throw a little bit harder, a little bit farther, maybe, improve some technique, blah, blah, blah. But this guy started turning into, hyzer flip to try and roll on me, and I didn't like that. So I kind of put him away for a little bit, and I learned a true purpose for this guy. So he comes out now for rollers, and he comes out for big sweeping anhyzers that I need to be able to put out way left, really high, and it's going to come back, and it's going to come back hard to the right. Now, I have a hole at my local course, hole number 10. It's about 420 feet, and you need to be able to push that big anhyzer swing the whole way. It goes across the valley. You've got OB on both left and right side, and you've got pine trees, skyscraper pine trees down the right side that you don't want to get into. This guy has helped me almost get the 2 on that hole. We're going to get the 2. We're going to be able to successfully recreate the 2 on a regular basis, but this guy, he's going to help me get the 2. I can throw it out, it comes in and gives me about a 25, 30 foot look just about every time now, and I love that about it. Now going into my last 2 distance drivers. Now, I love these things, but they're another disc that's going to get really hard to find since they're not affiliated with Lone Star Disc anymore. So if you have any of these, please holler at me, and we'll see what we can work out. But this is the Howler from Gorilla Performance Discs. These particular ones are produced by Lone Star, but they are a different company. Now, the Howler is kind of like my Destroyer slot. This is about as stable and about as fast as we go. This guy right here, I want to throw a 390, 400, 410 foot hyzer. This guy's coming out. If I want to flex something down the fairway, kind of keep it in a big distance line, but kind of keep it in that tight left to right movement, I'm also throwing him. I can put this thing on anhyzer. It's going to come swoop in. It's going to fight out of it. I can throw it flat, and it's going to finish to the left. I can throw it on hyzer, and it's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to be a big hyzer bomb. I'm throwing this thing on average about 375 feet, normal flight. But if I really get behind this thing, I can push it to every bit of 410, 415, and I love it. I bagged 2 identical ones because you never know in a situation where you might lose one. I have others on the shelf that I don't want to pull out anytime soon because I don't know how many more I'm going to be able to get. But no, this disc is a staple. I wasn't too impressed with the Warbird. I have found a couple Warbirds that I liked, but then of course I lost them, and I kept the Warbird to me is like a love-hate disc, and this disc feels a lot better in the hand compared to the Warbird, for me at least. I also have some old Hooligan Yeats, and I have a couple Starships, and I do want to play around with the Yeet and the Starship, see if I can't collect a few of the older runs of them and compare them to these versus some of the Warbirds that I still do have. I also have some Warbirds that are fairly new to me, secondhand, that I plan on field testing, and I kind of want to do a comparison between all 4 of the molds and see if it was just a mental thing or if there really is something like in hand to brain clicking that doesn't really like the few runs of discs that I've tried. But as far as like a stable distance driver that is max speed, max distance. This is it right there. Hope some of you guys found this useful, and I hope to see everybody on the channel in the near future when we get out and we do some course videos, maybe some field work videos, and show everybody how these things fly. And in the meantime, it's wintertime. Stay warm, bundle up, get out there and throw them frisbees as much as you can.